Thought I'd join a little bit early just to make sure we were set. Can you hear me okay? I think you're on mute. Yeah, I can't hear you. I think you're on. I think you might be on mute. Yeah, I cannot hear you at all. And maybe that's okay. Can you at least hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear? Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Just
but we can't hear you. Okay, we're halfway there.
all right. I am not muted,
Are
Make sure he's not muted.
participants muted?
at least on my end.
Can
I'm
you
not.
double check that you're not muted?
Yeah, I'm
So
not.
I'm sitting over here, but if you want to sit with Rich and Andy, I can switch my plate over.
Thank you. And do you think our settings, like the meeting settings, have all the participants on mute?
I don't know. This part should be working.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay now?
Okay, Julie Dunn can hear him. She's online. So I wanna like make the participant a presenter. I think that might help.
Oh, wait, here.
Or might. I don't think it's letting you select the computer volume because of.
Can you hear me now? Test. Test.
Why is it not?
Hey, brother.
Can you hear me now? Okay. All right.
Bob, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yes.
Wait. Say something.
1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Have this thing working, if we can. Oh, hey, bear with us.
Rat's nest down here.
So between Andy and Kendra there, I put my plate there. That's like right on the end. There's 2 seats
Audio
there.
jack, I'll put here.
What?
Audio jack on this. Headphone jack. Now try it. Yes.
Test again.
Oh, hey, Bob, can you say something?
1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, we're getting somewhere.
All right. Good.
Okay, we will. Now
All right, you got this?
I think
He's coming
it's good
through.
like this. Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what we did, but we did something.
Yeah, this.
Audio's working out of this one. Okay, check it out.
All right.
This
Well,
may
I'm gonna
not be
go
the
talk to
right
Mike,
computer.
and we'll,
I think so too.
yes, sir.
Over here. Thank you. We can't match your talent.
Okay. Got 3.
But we don't have him here. I want this. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance, please. The flag's over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Paul has invocation.
Totally disoriented here. Actually, I'm filling in for Cheryl Fry. Cheryl and John have kind of a bug or something, so maybe a prayer for them would be appropriate as well. Let us be in prayer. Oh God, at this time of change of year, make us deeply aware and grateful for the goodness and blessings that we have received in the past year. Throughout the coming months, remind us of the objects of Rotary to promote peace, combat disease, provide clean water and sanitation, save mothers and children, support education, and grow local economies. Give us a spirit of generosity to support Rotary's efforts and make us instruments of change for a better world by putting service above self. We ask this in your great name. Amen.
While we're standing, let's recite the Rotary four-way test from this banner of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you. You may be seated. It is disorienting. This is so weird. So we had this bright idea to remove our head table seating from the stage and orient the room a little bit differently. A lot of clubs do it this way because there's so many people participating and making announcements. It's really not just one head table. So now the other goal was streamlining our technology, which we have not achieved yet. And today was a mess because Susie's also not here. She's the master behind this little special formula of projectors and speakers and such. But our speaker is also online today, so hopefully this will work. We have video on one computer and speakers on the other. So thank you for your patience and continue to bear with us as we figure this all out. Anyway, so welcome back to Rotary 2025. We do meet next week, but I want to make sure everyone knows we do not meet on Monday, January 20th. So that will be another Rotary holiday. I wanted to also announce to the club, you'll hear more about this in the newsletter, and we've already made several announcements regarding our Food Security Summit. That's my presidential project this year. The committee has continued to meet, and we are going to host the summit on Thursday, March 27th. So that's sort of a save the date for Rotary. We don't anticipate that all Rotarians would attend, but I will be asking for some help with registration and making sure that that workshop flows well. So you'll see more in the newsletter, but that is for Thursday, March 27th. I also wanted to announce, this is something from the bank, but we are hosting with the Comanche Public Library a fraud awareness session. I don't have flyers on every table, but I have a few with me up here. So next Monday at 10 a.m. at the Comanche Public Library, it'll be Randy Meyer speaking. So he's obviously an expert in that area. He's the director of Seniors versus Crime. So if anyone's interested in more on this event, fraud awareness session next Monday at the Comanche Public Library at 10 a.m. Did anyone else have announcements today? Okay, let's bring up All for Fellowship.
Somebody respond. Thank you.
Yep.
See, as a Lutheran pastor, all of this reoriented is different because you know how many people, how many Lutherans it takes to change a light bulb? Change? Oh, well. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. It's good to see you here. Start off a new year. It is a time for some changes, and I apologize for not having the QR codes out on the table. You can use the online text to give 56651 today, but it is ending this week, and there will be a new number to use if you use the text to give that way. The QR code, which we'll have on the table next week, will work right along the way. We are pleased to have some guests with us today, and I think Mary Swanson has some guests. Mary, way in the back.
We have 4 students, I'm hoping
And what year you are? Oh, yeah. I'm Jackson Hoffman. I'm a senior.
I'm Madison Hensel. I'm a senior at Illinois. My name is Addie Burns.
Welcome to Rotary. Good to have you here. Well, I certainly hope so. Ray has a guest, I believe.
Yeah, I have one student from Northeast, his name is Owen, and I'll have him, give him your version. Tell him what you're gonna be doing.
Hello, everybody. My name is Owen Randall. I go to Northeast. I also am a student at Cliff Community College. I've already got 1 year down, working on my 2nd year, for welding. Right now I work 2 jobs. I work for Eastern Iowa Heating and Plumbing. We work a lot with Mill Creek. I like to work at, I work, both of my jobs are miles. I also work for Jetsons Automotive and Mini Mart there, and I plan on going to, I got recruited to go weld for Iron Eagle, Missouri, about 7.5 hours away. Only 105 kids get in a year, and that's, after that, I plan on going to weld in nuclear and refinery.
Very good. Best wishes for all of that. Dennis, do you have a guess? I caught him back. We'll come back to him. This says Susie Messiker has a guess. Is that online or how's that happen? Well, hi, stand up and introduce yourself. We're glad you're here, Kendra.
I'll stand up. I'm Jim. I'm trying to see. Yes, it's, yes, and then online is, Bob Sinkler, and he's with, trying to help us organize working tonight, so I will be doing it.
Good to have you at Rotary today. Thank you. And go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kendra Gieber. I work at.
You keep her in line, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And Andy Green.
Hi, guys. This is Mike Zimmer. Mike is the president of the school board at DeWitt, and he's running for our open Senate seat. So I'll let him introduce himself.
And thank you very much for being with you. And you're allowed to make a difference in there. This is not really exactly what I don't look like. It started in 2023. We put it all in. And well,
Welcome. We usually recognize birthdays and anniversaries, but I don't have a list. That's one of those changes for today. No list. All right. I'm a fan of NPR, and often when I'm getting ready for worship on a Sunday morning, I'm in the bathroom shaving or whatever, when the NPR news quiz comes on, WVIK, Augustana Public Radio. How many of you listened to that? All right. How many of you heard the news quiz yesterday? Nobody was up that early, huh? Well, very good. Today's opportunity to support the scholarship fund comes from the NPR News Quiz. Will Shorts is the public puzzle editor for the New York Times and the puzzle master of Weekend Edition. I've got 10 questions here, and that come from him. And we'll go table to table. You can pick a number, 1 to 10. And I'll give you the question. This is an opportunity to be generous, so you pick the number, but maybe a suggestion would be $5 for a wrong answer and 3 for a right one, but you decide. I'm gonna start way in the back with Mary's table. 1 to 10. No, you can't have 10. I'm saying 1 to 9. 6, all right. Bao Li and Jing Bao, and that's spelled Baoli and Qingbao, arrived from China this year. Where are they now? They're not in Iowa. Well, that's not close enough. We'll call that, I didn't get it. Somebody mentioned it right. They are at the National Zoo in Washington, DC. They are the 2 pandas on loan from China. Okay. All right, we'll come up to Andy's table here. Andy,
Which Andy?
both of you. It'll take 2 heads to get this one. What do you want?
One. Which number 1?
Number 1, this is fill in the blank. In October, Claudia Steinbaum became the first blank president of blank.
Oh, female president of Mexico.
That is correct. Very good. She is the first female president of Mexico. All right. Okay. We'll come over to Ray's table.
Number 2.
Number 2. Rachel Gunn, also known as Reagan, became a viral sensation last year as an Australian Olympian in what sport?
Breakdancing.
Breakdancing is correct. Very good. Oh, we've got people who know their history here. Come up to Greg's table. What number? No, we already had number 2.
4.
What? Number 4. What presidential candidate was widely publicized last year as having a dead worm in his brain?
Robert Kennedy.
Right, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Okay.
It was true.
Number 5, all right. In April last year, something rare happened in the US between Texas and New England. What was it? That's pretty rare. A total solar eclipse. All right. Okay. And we'll come over here. Brent's table. Number 8. What 4-letter word, defined as characterized by a confident, independent, and hedonistic attitude, was named by Collins Dictionary as the word of the year?
Number 9.
If you want to double your contribution. The word was popularized by Charlie XCX. That helps.
Brat.
You are correct. It's brat, B-R-A-T. All right.
Number 9.
Number 9. All right. What country became the 32nd member of NATO in March?
Finland.
That's close. Sweden. Finland was in earlier. All right. I'll give you the other ones just for interest, and you may contribute if you like. In November, a piece of conceptual art titled The Comedian was sold in Sotheby's auction for $6.2 million. It consisted of something duct taped to a wall. What was it? A banana, yes, indeed. And in June, China made history by receiving a group of rocks from where? From the far side of the moon, right? And I've got one more, and this is open to everybody. If anybody gets it, I'll donate $20. All right, my stuff. If anybody can get it, I'll donate $20. All right. Last summer, Danny Jansen became the first Major League Baseball player in history to do what?
Catch for both teams in the same game.
You are correct. Play for both teams in the same game. He must have been listening to the quiz. And here's my 20. Thank you. I should explain that. If you didn't hear Braden's answer, it was that Danny Jansen played for both teams in the same game in baseball. Well, what happened is he was catcher for the Ontario Blue Jays at the beginning of a game in June versus the Boston Red Sox. The game was suspended due to rain. In July, he was traded to the Red Sox. And then he played in the completion of the same game in August.
Interesting. So for our guests who may not know, when we do fellowship, all the money that we raise goes toward our student scholarships. So we are happy to get the wrong answers if it means we can contribute more. Dennis has our program today that he'll introduce. And Bob, if you're still online, that would be remarkable.
I am still here.
Hey, that's exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, thank you, everybody. And Paul asked a question about the Olympics. I just found out that a long time ago, one of the first Olympics, poetry reading was an Olympic sport. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that would have been judged or competed at an Olympics, poetry reading. Jim introduced himself, and I appreciate that since my mouth was full, but he is chair of the Ports of Eastern Iowa. And so we're going to turn it over to Bob Sinkler. He is currently the executive director for the Corn Belt Ports, the inland ports within the Corn Belt's lock and dam system. Bob founded Riverside Global, a non-traditional water solutions company. They provide integrated, sustainable improvements to our existing man-made and natural water infrastructure. Bob was recently the vice president for government programs in the environmental branch, biotech leader, Alonia. Prior to that, he was vice president of operations for a company that provided technology solutions to leading companies for the deployment of biologically based products that address some of the world's most pressing challenges. And Bob is working with Jim and the others that are on the board of the Ports of Eastern Iowa. So I'm gonna let Bob talk a little bit about this. I thought it was, no accident, just by time on. This past Friday, Realtors received a magazine about commercial real estate. And one of the items in here talks about multimodal facilities and some really good information, even and relevant information about shipping and rail and trucking and those ways of doing intermodal facilities. So there's certainly some real opportunities here for Clinton County. And with that, I'm going to shut up and turn it over to Bob. Bob, the floor is yours.
All right. Hey, thank you very much. Just if you could help me understand about how many people are in the room, and I know you're working through some technology issues. Can everybody see me okay?
Everybody's nodding, or most people are nodding their heads. Yes, they can hear you. And I guess, what do we have, about 50 people or so?
Okay. And then what about seeing me? Do you have a big enough screen that everybody can see me? Or
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. All right. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, good. So I just wanted to make sure that if I needed to minimize the amount of references I made to the slides, I could do that. Okay. Hey, this is great. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'll run through some slides very quickly. Oh, it says the host disabled share. Is there any way that I could get that enabled?
Sorry, Bob, this is what we were trying to figure out.
Okay. Yeah.
To get started, I will just, it's made up of, White County, Lee County, Scott County, Little County, Jackson County, County. We have one supervisor for each county that agreed to come on, and, we have one supervisor from each county that agreed to come on. I was, through the short straw, got nominated as chair. But we started officially in November. And it's something that I'm gonna say Bob Sinkler, Andrew Singh, and Chris Smith, 3 individuals that have worked very diligently for the last 2 years as volunteers trying to help us get organized. So it's something that's been really needed and wanted to happen for the city of Clinton and Clinton County. And to really make this work, it really depended on having everybody else from the other counties to join us and work with us to make this happen.
Okay.
You have it ready yet, Carrie?
I think it's how the meeting is set up in Zoom. I don't know that we're gonna be able to grant permission for him to present slides.
All right. Do you have the slides? Can you show them and kind of move me around so I can see the screen, and then I can just talk to them?
I don't think he set the slide.
Did you send something, Bob?
Yeah, I did. I emailed the slides in both PDF and PowerPoint.
Is it, did you email this to Dennis or did you email it to me also?
I sent it to, well, I sent it to,
And maybe to the club.
Yeah, he emailed it to the club.
and the club too.
So,
Yeah, so I sent it to both of you and the Rotary Club also.
just gonna bring up. Yeah, can you help me share it though? This is PDF.
Downloading for next week.
So Joel, maybe back to the inbox.
Yeah.
Is that what yours?
Slide.
Slides.
Yep.
Champagne, velvet ropes.
I can either open in Google Slides. Technology. Let's see.
You already on it. I always got to get those around. Somebody's got to do it.
Where?
Yeah.
I just have to. Here we go. Okay. Oh, hey, look at that. You should be able to share now, actually. Is it letting you?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
I got.
Okay, well, we've got them up in case something happens, but. Okay.
Um,
Yours, Bob. So, go ahead and.
Okay. So what I can do here.
That's like you're carried away by thinking.
All right. See. Can you guys see this okay or not? Can you guys see the slides?
Yes, we can. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, good. I'm going to go through this very quickly. I appreciate you guys accommodating me doing this remotely. And, I appreciate Jim giving a little overview. And, it is hard to set up a new organization and a regional port. And I really appreciate all the great support from the board members from the 6 counties that Jim mentioned. Things are moving along really nicely. It took the Heart of Illinois Regional Port District about 5 years to kind of get up and running. And you guys have done just in a few months what it's taken other 6 county port regions to do in a couple of years. So it's just great leadership, and we appreciate that. I just want to, I got a little dog in the background. I'm sorry, but anyway, I want everybody to think a little bit differently about ports, and it's more than just the loading barges. Ports are the Corn Belt ports are not unimodal; they're multimodal. Involves all aspects of transportation. They're clearly not single purpose, and there is some benefit if we do think more broadly about what a port is. And we created. I'll talk a little bit about it on the next few slides. But our port regions, there are 4 of them inside the lock and dam system on the Upper Mississippi River and Illinois Waterway that have been created since 2020, and they're all regional partnerships that really bring together regional planning agencies, the business and industry organizations, economic development organizations, and also the actual port itself. And that integration is extremely important to advance things forward and attract as much infrastructure investment from a wide variety of sources as we can. And that's really why the Corn Belt ports were created. The initiative began when we heard that there was some strong likelihood there would be a bipartisan infrastructure bill for the first time in many, many years. And we wanted to make sure we were postured to attract as much investment from that as possible. And then our rural ports, our rural regional inland ports, they're really involved with everything associated with water infrastructure. So it's not just about the traditional grain barges. It involves cruise boats and flood risk reduction and small boat harbors and hydropower, pushing FERC licenses along so we can retrofit some of our existing dams with hydropower turbines. And then, of course, there's also an interest in advancing aquatic habitat also. So all these things on the slide here, plus probably others, are really something that the regional port can provide some leadership and direction on, and coordination. There really isn't another 6 county entity that really touches all of Eastern Iowa like the Ports of Eastern Iowa Authority does. But when we started, the U.S. Department of Transportation has identified or labeled, I guess maybe is a better word, all of the marine highway segments in the U.S. as marine highways and given them a number, just like the interstate highway system. So the Marine Highway 35 really goes from the confluence of the Illinois River all the way up to Minneapolis. And Marine Highway 35 is really what the ports of Eastern Iowa is on. And when we started this in 2020, there were no ports between St. Louis and St. Paul on the U.S. ports list or map, and that is what this map is, and no ports between St. Louis and Chicago, and we were just literally off the map. And based on some previous jobs that I've had in the Washington D.C. area, it became very obvious that we were just being left out. I'm from Illinois originally. I live in Bettendorf, Iowa, and I didn't realize it years ago, but when I got to my job in the Washington D.C., I ended up going to a lot of high level meetings and with the Department of Transportation and the Corps of Engineers and the Department of Agriculture and others, and we were literally off the map. And we wanted to get on the map. Our theme all along from the very beginning is you can't invest in a port that doesn't exist. And this is just another example. The Maritime Administration offers grants or has a grant program. All of the little colored dots on the left represent a type of grant that the Maritime Administration can award to ports. And we had not received any in our area, mainly because we didn't have any ports. Dubuque was able to get an infra grant, something called an infra grant a few years ago, but that money was returned because they were unable to execute it. But this is just one example of many. We'd never received any clean port grants before in this larger region, clean port program grants from the EPA, and they've had that program in place for a little while. And we received our first ones this year in the larger Corn Belt Ports region. So we just want to make ourselves more as competitive as possible. This all started in August, 1st of August, 2019, when a reporter did an article on creating a port or the potential of creating one along the Mississippi River, upper Mississippi River in our area. And that's when I started volunteering my time to get our ports on the map. But just to talk about the port north of us, so the regional port is called the Northern Grain Belt Ports. The Winona Port Authority, which is pictured here, is the largest port in that region. And it was just approved actually in December of this last year to be a port within the Northern Grain Belt Ports, the regional port that's we created in between Minnesota and Wisconsin. So that's really what the ports of Eastern Iowa is. It's just just replicates what we did with the Winona Port Authority. And then south of us on Marine Highway 35 is the Mid-America Port Commission. Likewise, it did not exist prior to 2020. And by getting it on the map, just capturing the terminals that we had in place and grouping it together as part of a port and getting it to be federally recognized, it was ranked by Global Trade Magazine or listed by Global Trade Magazine in 2022 as a top 50 power port in the United States, one of the top ports in the United States. And it went from nothing to that. And then in 2023, the Mid-America Port Commission, which again is south of us in the Quincy-Hannibal area, it's the 18th largest bulk cargo port in the United States. And this is from their annual report to Congress. But before that, we did not exist. Our freight has value, and that's really our business model is just to take that freight tonnage and translate that freight into direct and indirect investment in our region. And we've helped attract well over $2 billion of infrastructure investment from a wide variety of federal programs and federal agencies and some state funding too as part of this effort. And really the formula also is taking our waterways. We've had waterways that everyone knows about for a long time. And so Marine Highway 35, when you link that with regional and local ports, it just increases investment opportunity in the region. So that's really, we just been pushing together ports with the waterways segments, and We've the Mid-America Port Commission's attracted over $500 million, which is south of us. The Illinois Waterway Ports Commission has attracted over $1 billion in infrastructure investment. And there were some great firsts in the Northern Grainbelt Ports area between Minnesota and Wisconsin. They received their first port infrastructure development program grants ever. Two of the 5 ports in that region received grants from the Maritime Administration. So we're getting money from organizations that we've never been able to get money from before. And what we want to do is just make sure that the ports of Eastern Iowa is postured as nicely as the other areas to receive this kind of funding. But as I kind of alluded to, the ports are really a catching mitt for federal and state investment in dollars. So these are the 4 Corn Belt ports regional ports that we created or kind of put together, that clearly all aligned with the heart of the Corn Belt, and the ports of Eastern Iowa is the Iowa component of the ports of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois. And again, this is just another map showing the geographic location of the regional ports, but you can't really, I mean, our ports are perfectly aligned with both grain production and infrastructure. So Iowa and Illinois are, as you know, key part of the supply chain when it comes to moving corn, soybeans, and egg products to market. And then these are where the ports are in relationship, or just when we overlay them on a county map. The county is the building block for the port. So the 6 ports of Eastern Iowa really go from Louisa County all the way to Dubuque. And then this is the Bi-State Regional Planning Commission and ECIA and all the other regional planning agencies are a key component of the ports of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois also. So we're just integrating the planning organizations with the port organizations and with the waterway. And then when we started this effort, 2020, the ports of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois came in at the 56th largest port in the United States based on freight tonnage, roughly the same size as the port of Miami. And now after 2020, the federal definition of a port changed. And so we had to go get something that could be recognized by the state as a port entity. And that's why we create Iowa Code 28J recognizes, or is the legislation or the code that governs creation of ports. So we just had to go back and create a port of Eastern Iowa that could be that we could say was recognized by the state of Iowa to get back on the list. And they just routinely make changes like that. So, but Jim is leading the kind of the Ports of Eastern Iowa Authority that was formed under Iowa Code 28J, and really that's the big driver of the ports of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois. Well over 90% of the tonnage is shipped from Iowa between Illinois and Iowa on the upper Mississippi River, and well over 70% of the active terminals, or well over 70%, are in Iowa. So it just makes sense for Iowa to be the leader. Except in the Quad Cities, all the communities over 5,000 people in population are all in Iowa. It's just the way things settled. So Iowa is just going to have to be the leader of the ports of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois. They are the rightful leader, and Clinton obviously plays a big role in that, just because of the tonnage that is handled there by the ADM facility. But our ports are multimodal, so it's all about improving road, rail, and other modes of transportation. And then sustainability is a very important part of what we've got going on. And then also the ports of Eastern Iowa also kind of help solidify the defense corridor, strengthen the defense corridor that we have that goes really from Dubuque all the way down to the Burlington Army Ammunition Plant. And then rolls in with over 150 defense contractors in the Quad Cities and Rock Island arsenals there. So it aligns or helps strengthen the defense corridor too. And then again, I said that the ports of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois are roughly the same size as the Port of Miami in tonnage. And then there's another initiative going on, and that's called the Green Marine Highway Initiative. That is looking at ways to reduce the carbon footprint. And we're leaders. We are national leaders in that. All of our port regions are. And when you take into consideration the nuclear power plants, the hydroelectric facilities that we have, all of the biofuel and renewable fuel production that's going on, all that really helps reduce the carbon footprint. Iowa's a big leader in that. And we've received some funding to advance the Green Marine Highway Initiative, and it really is just capturing things that we're already doing that will reduce energy and transportation costs for our riverfront communities, and even moving more freight to waterways reduces the carbon footprint. So it's just a way to kind of again highlight what we're already doing. So anyway, this is my team. Dr. Anshu Singh is lives in Bettendorf, Iowa. Also, her husband works for John Deere. She just finished her PhD in large river ecosystems from Western Illinois University. And then Chris Smith, our director of operations. He's a former Army Special Forces guy. Just a great operator. And that's all I've got. I'd like to just hear what you have to say if you have any questions.
Thank you, Bob. So Jim Irwin and I are, Jim's standing up here. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Jim in a second. So pretty impressive to think that at a starting point, we're at the same point as the ports of Miami. And, you know, with the work and Jim as chair of that group, got certainly some really great opportunity to do things. And from a marketing point of view, as a spot for economic development that can really benefit the region, and great opportunity. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Jim. And two things, when we're done, Jim, we always have a book signed on behalf of the children's section of the library. So we'll have you sign that book when we're done. But I'm going to hand the microphone over to Jim, and then that's your opportunity to take questions or to make a question. Jim will repeat the question so that Bob can hear it.
Questions at all? Perfect. That's exactly what I like. Great job, Bob.
Wow. Hey.
Nobody has any questions? Sure, Bob.
On his list of port uses, you got cruise, and that seems to be a growing thing on Mississippi. How do you get that kind of?
So the question is about cruise ships, and we've seen an uptick locally on cruise ships coming up in Mississippi. How does that relate onto the ports?
Yeah, so that's great. That is a great question. So, and that will really help raise the profile. It continues to raise the profile of the region. So we've got two active cruise lines, American Cruise Lines and Viking Cruise Lines, that are, and then that really that requires some improvements along the way, and some of the dock facilities that are most often owned by owned by the communities that the cruise boats visit. But yeah, but a great partnership. So I serve on the executive steering committee of the National Waterways Conference, and one of my colleagues that serves on the executive committee also, Christine Mira, works for American Cruise Line. So we're really we got a lot of great things in common, working Mississippi River issues. And she just hired a government affairs person to advance things on the Mississippi River from their perspective. So she'll be a great addition to the team, and looking forward to getting her engaged and working shoulder to shoulder and hand in hand with us as we move some things forward. But yeah, cruise boats, the new modern cruise boats are a very important part of the port, our port facilities, the docks that support them. So yeah, we see that as just as important as it's just as important really as all the other users of our waterways. And that what's good about the cruise boats is that, and cruise ships, is they do introduce a lot more people to the wonderful resource that we have between Illinois and Iowa, and our ports in the region.
Bob and Jim, knowing how much work it takes to
get a grant, write the grant, and then have some facts. What happens with the youth that we would want to avoid that pitfall of getting money and then having to send it back because something didn't come together? What happened?
Did you hear the question? What happened to the grant from Dubuque? Why was that, all the time that we put in to get that, why was it sent?
Yeah, so my understanding was Gavilon, the company that was partnering with the community of Dubuque, pulled out. And when that happened, Dubuque was unable to execute the grant. So we've got 5 Port Infrastructure Development Program grants from the Maritime Administration on the Upper Mississippi River, and received 3 of those, and then 2 recently in this last round, 2 on the Illinois River and Waterway. One $38 million grant to support a soybean processing facility in this small town of Hennepin, Illinois. On the it's got less than 1,000 people in it on the Illinois River. And then so it's just very important that the public-private partnership aspects of our ports work. And if ADM wants to team with Clinton or vice versa, the city of Clinton or the county of Clinton, to pursue with some of this federal money that's available, it just got to be a very, very strong relationship. And that's really why we had one of the largest, clearly the largest port grant in the history of the state of Illinois. In Hennepin, we were just notified in November of this last year. And, that's unheard of. Most of the money in the state of Illinois for ports had gone to Chicago and St. Louis or East St. Louis. And, to get a little community like that to be that successful and compete at the national level, there were only 3 port infrastructure development program grants that went to inland waterways this last cycle. 2 of them went in the Corn Belt Ports region. So 2/3 of them came here. And one of the reasons for that is by creating the ports, we raised the visibility of our ports, but we also raised the visibility that, hey, we've had ports here forever and we've never really received our fair share of federal dollars. So by creating the ports, that enables us to do that. But it's very important to have a strong public-private partnership, and the ADM, I think, has got to be leading the effort in Clinton in partnership with the city and or the county to advance things forward to bring in some additional investment in the region.
Thank you, Bob. I'll just make one last closing comment and then we'll dismiss. About 6.5 years ago, the phone rang and a person who had been an employee in the late 80s of Iowa Governor Branstad had been over in Shanghai. And at that point, Terry Branstad was ambassador of the United States to China. And Branstad yelled at him and said, get an operation in Iowa, call Dennis. And they end up buying a building here in town, not the biggest employer. There are parts suppliers, stuff's coming from China. They work on it here, and the stuff goes to Volvo, Hitachi, and Caterpillar and John Deere. 3-4 jobs, but it's still better than an empty building sitting in that area of town. So there's a tremendous opportunity with marketing and relationships and to get that out there so more people than just Terry Branstad are thinking, or the ambassador to China are thinking of us as an area. So great opportunity here. Thank you again. And thank you to everybody, and we'll adjourn. And then Jim will sign this book titled Trouble Finds Plum. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, everyone.
I was just gonna say, if anyone does daily affirmations today, you can look in the mirror and say, I'm adaptable, I'm patient, I learned something new, I have a growth mindset. This is one of our best meetings because we did all this new stuff and we made it happen. And so thank you for your patience, Bob and Dennis and Jim. And thanks everyone for the great teamwork. Kendra, thanks for helping troubleshoot up here. With that, experience the magic of Rotary. We'll see you next week.
Next week we'll have an actual speaker here, but that'll be controversial. It's the guy with Next Era Energy. Yeah, so that may generate. Yeah. So.
Signed.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Well, that was quiet.
All right. Got it through, thank you.
Oh, should I forget? Can anybody wants?
Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Dale. Thank you. How are you? Good. How you been? Good. It's been busy, so yeah, no, that's a good busy. I'm a good friend of Eric Van Lankers, and I was shocked. What a joke. What a joke. Absolutely ridiculous. He landed on his feet though. Yeah, he did. He did. But thank goodness. That's what happens for good people, right? But yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Thank you.
What's occurred. And I'm already dealing with it. Today I gotta, today I gotta deal with, so I got voted out. I mean, I didn't.
Nice to see you, sir.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Happy New Year.
I didn't get voted out, but Aaron wanted to be chairperson, so we put her in as chair. More power to her, but already this morning, I get called, I get contacted. We have to do a reimbursement for the YWCA for their project, that we did. And already Tracy was questioning, well, we don't pay for that, I'm like, as long as it's related to that project, it's supposed to be paid for. I mean, and I get there's people on that, but that's a struggle. I mean, if you wake up and go to church on Sunday morning and then you're against the supportive housing, you're on the right side of that. Yeah. I'm struggling with this whole deal. Yeah, well, and then what happened on Saturday with the Republican Party with the nominations, we had Dennis Campbell and Tom Derriman, and then. Yeah, what happened there? I didn't hear. Katie Whittington. Yeah. And she stands up there. She had no idea what issues are with Highway 30. I mean, are you kidding?
That would be
Are you kidding me? It's frustrating. Yeah. It is absolutely frustrating. I said, what is wrong with the Republican Party? In Clinton County.
Well, there's an election in there, is it next Tuesday?
January 28th.
No, I meant the Central Committee.
Oh.
They take over Central Committee, it's all over.
Already? I think they already took it over.
Yeah.
Is that next Tuesday?
I
Thank
think
you,
it's
Brad.
a week from Tuesday usually, yeah.
You have time, that'd be good.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
I was telling him, she literally stood up in front of us on Saturday and said, what about Highway 30? She had no clue about Highway 30.
Her whole thing is she's against CO2 pipelines and windmills.
Yeah.
Okay, you're all for it.
Yeah. She stood up there.
I think you and Aaron, I'm at this point now, once you guys just pass an ordinance banning it all and get sued and get it. I'm tired of it.
It's unreal.
You can't satisfy these
We
people.
are going to be sued.
Yeah, well, you might as well just ban
Madison County did not lose the lawsuit, but then negotiated back out. They had to allow 30 additional turbines at the previous ordinance. Floyd County lost they owed the developer $5.2 million. Now Floyd County's, they're appealing it, but I've talked to a couple of people, they're not gonna win the appeal. Very, very likely, appeals don't normally go to them.
You have ordinance and don't abide by them.
Woods County is facing a $20+ million lawsuit. $3.8 million for the developer, but now the developer suing them for 3.8 on the same basis as Floyd's. But the landowners that signed leases have joined the lawsuit, and now it's bumped up to over $20 million. They're suing for potential lost income. And the taxpayers get the foot itself, right? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So. And those, and that is not covered by insurance. No, Julie Bray, after we talked to Julie Bray, I mean, that's not